Greetings YouTube neighbors. So today we're doing my Honda Pioneer kind of overview and initial thoughts. So far I have about 60 miles on it. One thing when I do my reviews is I really like to know a little bit about the product before I put anything on the internet. And so right now its general state is my resume. I actually cleaned off some of the swamp grass and water already from it. You come around, I've been flinging up mud and flying through the woods with this thing. So I've got some general ideas about it, and it's kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the reason why I bought it was really because it was a less expensive option for a side-by-side. It's not as powerful. It's not even 500 cc's. It'll go 40 miles an hour, but it's kind of goofy. It governs out right at 40, and it kind of operates strangely. So really, you can only cruise at probably 38. Otherwise, you hit that governor, and it kind of gives you this weird interaction. Some of the other nice things, I mean, it being so narrow, being 50 inches wide, it really can make its own trails without you having to go through with a chainsaw. We've had some property on the back here we just haven't gone to, haven't really wanted to, because it was so swampy, but with this thing, without ever pulling out the chainsaw, I ended up bombing through the woods and made a new trail back there, and that's where most of this mud took place. So at the end of this video, I'll do just some quick snippets of me running through the mud and stuff and showing you what it is capable of. I did buy this little cheap hood or cheap roof from Amazon, and it's a very simple design. I highly recommend it. It works good and it's really durable. It's just thick, bended plastic is all it really breaks down to. And it does a really good job because it gets scraped on all the time. So I took the door off right away. That was the first modification. I left that side on so when my son goes in, he's got something to help him keep him inside the vehicle. And I also took the sway bar off on the back, and so that lets the back tires operate a little bit more independently. Its get up to go speed is awesome. It really does move pretty quickly. Another thing I really like is the four-wheel drive mechanism. So getting it in four-wheel drive, if you want to come closer, it's literally just a little knob, and you flip it up and you're in four-wheel. And I found you can do that on the go. I also really like the automatic versus manual transmission, and then using the paddle shifters to decide what gear you're in. It is a little bit funky getting it started on, especially when you're going over big bumps. The automatic transmission is always trying to figure out what gear should you be in. And so it doesn't see what's coming up next, and so all of a sudden it'll upshift when you really want to either stay in the same gear or downshift. So that's where throwing it in manual is really nice. That works really well. This is not a power steering model, and for not being power steering, I'd say it works really well. It's super light, and so it's easy to turn the wheels even when there's no momentum going forward, making it easier. So there's that. Talking about some of the things I don't like. So one of the bad things is it actually does not have a front diff lock. So when you are in a bad situation and you put it in four-wheel drive, you think all four wheels are spinning, when in reality 3 are spinning. The back 2 lock and the front ones do not lock, and it has a tendency to give power to the wheel that is not receiving resistance, which means the free wheel is going to spin. The wheel that's on the ground is not going to spin. Now, it doesn't mean you don't get any benefit out of four-wheel drive. You definitely do get benefit. Most of the time I putz around in two-wheel drive until I can't, and then I throw it in four-wheel drive. And that does make a meaningful difference. But actually yesterday I got stuck in the swamp grass, and it was so frustrating because the one tire was on the ground, could pull, but it wouldn't. It would send power to the freewheel. And even with me shaking the machine and doing everything I could think of to do, it still wouldn't engage that wheel. So I think that's a major shortcoming for a four-wheeler like this, because I think people are going to go off-road. It's not the best roadworthy four-wheeler just because its top-end speed is not fast enough. The suspension ride is shorter than a lot of other machines, which isn't a major problem, but you only get, I think, 10 inches of ground clearance, and it's really 8 by the A-arms. So it's a little bit narrower on the ground. Not a major concern. It does go through the woods just fine if you know what you're doing. But it's something to be aware of, that when you get in a tight situation, that it's not going to have all of the extra bells and whistles to help you get out of a bad situation. Kind of going to the back end here. So this is one of the things that attracted me to the Pioneer. The fact that you can yank this off, you could put down a bench seat here. A couple people make some fabricated bench seats. Or you could just strap things to it. That's what I was looking to do. I was going to make a back row seat. Kind of looking back now, I found that's not the best decision. One of the reasons is when you're going through the woods, looking forward is a huge advantage. So if you see a branch coming, you can get out of the way and prepare yourself. Where if you're looking the back way going through the woods, you're going to get blindsided by some branches. And I don't want to do that to my passengers. So another problem is the mufflers right there. So if you're hanging your legs off right here and the muffler's right there, you're going to get cooked just a little bit. And heaven forbid you actually bring your leg back and you tap that thing. Because I've been burned by a muffler and I don't want to see it happen to anybody else. So I'm not really using that, but what I have been using this for is hauling wood. So it works good enough just to stick big pieces of wood here, and that's what these bungee straps here are for. And so I load the wood up and then I take these bungee straps and I strap them down to this because this actually has a little bit of a hook here on this part of it, and that way you can hook the load down, and that's about the only way to operate it. If you just leave the wood back here, it's not going to stay back here, it's going to flip out. So I found a way to make it work. It's not the perfect system, but surprisingly it does work fairly well for what it does. You're not going to put a huge load in the back, but that's not what I've been doing. That little pile there in front of the boiler is actually the stuff I've pulled out of the woods when I'm making a new trail now. It only has a 4-gallon tank, and so that seems tiny. A lot of lawnmowers have a bigger gallon tank than that, but I'll tell you, it's very fuel efficient. I've put, like I said, about 50 miles, and I am not gentle to this thing, and it's burned through probably 2.5 gallons. It's amazing how efficient it is for what you're doing with it, and like I said, I really do beat on it and run all over the property. So, all right. I think that's it for my general comments. I might add in some few other things when I start showing off me driving around. Let's go take it for a drive. All right, so now we're out for a drive. So this is us cruising around. It's pretty quiet. It's definitely one of the things I like about it. The benefit of a smaller engine, and then to switch it to 4-wheel, it's literally here. You just don't be putting it through power, and it goes fine. Now we're going to go through our first little mud hole here. So we're in 4-wheel. It's going through. Oops, slid into the tractor ruts. Definitely one thing I've noticed is there's no cubby space in here. Definitely another shortcoming. I know they make modifications to make something. Here's a big old hole we went through. Boom. Through it. Here's the one where I nearly got stuck in. So I threw some sticks, and eventually I'm going to go through and kind of chop them up. Big old ruts. Is it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does pretty good through stuff like that. And this one's starting to get deeper here. Oof. But you can see I'm going through some pretty narrow paths, and this is the path I at first didn't chainsaw at all, and then since afterwards I've done a little bit just to make it so it's not much stuff then hits the machine, because eventually I'm going to get a windshield, especially for the winter, and I don't want stuff scraping on it. It'll scar it up pretty good, but you can see here, I mean, it's definitely not an easy little path. We're cruising along. Here's the swampland I was kind of talking about. And so it's all water underneath there. And then right there is where I got stuck yesterday. That's where that diff lock thing really kicked my butt. There, yeah, she got sort of hung up, but we made it. It also has kind of a false belly pan on the front. On the front, it's a plastic belly pan. So it makes you think it's really protected, but it's really not. It's kind of, I don't know, I don't like it. that I thought it was hard until I touched it. I realized it's just plastic. The back part of it is metal. So it's just kind of a shortcoming from Honda. There, we made it out of our little trail. I'm gonna throw. All right. We didn't start making another trail. I'm not gonna go on that one because I can't really showcase anything on it. But we're just gonna go cruising around the property. There, it's 25, pretty easy. Now we're gonna go on my straightaway. Up to 32. Hey kiddo, your glasses are right there. We do use the cup holder for glasses. Till we get that windshield, glasses are very, very necessary. Cruise right through here. Actually gonna flop it back in two-wheel. And on this straightaway, I'll show you what 40's like in this thing, or if I get on the road. So if you notice on there, it just kind of dies out, and that's how the governor works. It kind of kills the power from underneath you. We get on the road there and do it. You know, it's almost like it has more power, it's got more juice, but because of how they limit it out, I don't know about that. It's kind of frustrating because you can't cruise at 40. You got to cruise at less speed. And then the cubby space in here is just kind of a pain. I don't know about you guys, but I leave one Bluetooth speaker in my ear, and I just like to leave my phone in whatever piece of equipment I'm working in. And so you really don't have a spot to leave your phone in here, which is not very convenient. The cup holders also aren't very deep. I tried to hold a drink in there. I gave up pretty quickly, but for a little rig, zipping around, if that's your thing, this is your kind of machine. It is nice and nimble. I think getting some bigger tires would go a long way. And you know, my major concern really is that diff lock and the lack of cubby storage. I think those are the two major shortcomings for this machine. Other than that, it's really nice. A lot of it's well designed. Even these doors. Logan, you want to show how the door opens?
Yeah.
Just twist that so even a little kid can do it, and boom, he's got his own door. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all we have for now. So if you've got any more questions or comments or want to see something else, I'm all ears. Let me know. All right, thank you very much.